Part of what I wanted to say I couldn't deliver, I didn't know anyway.
Such a bittersweet taste, such a perfect waste, oh, hiding in the back of my conscious state.
Hello and welcome to the Fan Carpet. I'm Corinna and today I am joined by a very special guest. We have Jenna Suru here, who's come all the way from France, and she is the founder of Belle Époque films. It's a very exciting time because her film, The Golden Age, is about to premiere and actually open the London Independent Film Festival. So how did this come about?
Thank you so much. Yeah, so The Golden Age is actually my debut feature film. It's a period drama about the world-changing charms of 60s Saint-Tropez. So it's really, it's a story that's never been told on the screen before. And we're extremely happy with the premieres in the US. We already won Best Foreign Feature Film, so that was a beautiful moment. The reviews also were excellent. And the film is meant to be released in theaters worldwide. So we're extremely excited because this will be the European premiere of The Golden Age.
Oh wow, so we get the exclusive here in London, not even in Paris, but here in London.
London first, yeah, and I've lived here for quite a bit, so it's a privilege because the film is not only an official selection at the festival, but it's also opening this 10-day event.
So what inspired you to make this film? Because, I mean, everyone loves, the glamorous world of Saint-Tropez in the 1960s. Yeah. And, I mean, I don't know a single girl who doesn't admire the likes of Brigitte Bardot, yes. Waltzing around the town. But so what inspired you to tell the story, and what kind of angle do you take on this?
There are two main things that inspire me. First is the village itself and its authenticity and history, because in the 60s you would go there just to find inspiration, because it used to be a fishing harbor. So it was just this small village on the coast, and really even Brigitte Bardot, she would go after filming, she would just mingle with the rest of the Tropesians. So it was really like a hub of artistic inspiration. And what I really love about this village is its authenticity, because Tropesians, even now, are really fighting to keep it really authentic, because it's become so famous. And it's a village I fell in love instantly because of many reasons. First, the authenticity of its people, but also the light. The light there is just incredible, and you understand why so many artists.
So beautiful. I've been there. It's so beautiful.
Right? I mean, isn't it magical? Like, you can really feel there is something in the air. So this is what made it absolutely life-changing for me. And there is something else, is that when I open my phone, I read at the news, I watch TV, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this world is turning crazy. So when I actually was just about to write the film, I realized I was far from the only person to feel like this. And in the 60s, what is really incredible is that it was very similar in that sense that after the two wars, especially the youth, they were so tired of war, and they were like, all these great intentions that happened this time, we're gonna use them, but not for war. And I think there's a real connection between these times and now, and this is why the Golden Age is a tribute to all artists. So not only artists who fight to bring change, but also those who struggle. It's really a tribute to the artistic journey.
That's absolutely fascinating, because you do raise a really good point that the 1960s, there's a whole renaissance going on, because yes, the two wars, and there was a real division between the youth and the older generation to make things happen, to change the way things. And it's funny how, yes, you're right. Right now, there's a certain feeling, a certain buzz, a certain movement in the air from younger generations that are trying to change things. But certainly in the Western world, we haven't had the wars that initiate that. But it's funny that you should strike the similarities between these two eras that are currently. I mean, we don't really know what's going to happen next with our generation.
Yeah, completely. I absolutely agree with you. And this is why I found it so inspiring, because in Saint-Tropez, there are so many artists who really found inspiration. Like when I met in Los Angeles with Sally Kirkland, who was Oscar nominated and also a Golden Globe winner in 1987 for her role in Anna. She said it was exactly like this. Like before her filming in Italy, she would go with Catherine Deneuve on the harbour of Saint-Tropez and discuss the role, because also we have to understand that at the time there was no internet. So that's something different, is that at the time you would connect differently, and usually it could be through music, or through dancing. This way there is a big dancing scene in the film, and so I find it really inspiring to open the festival with this film, because it's a great way to connect with the audience here in Europe and really discuss those topics that are still really important today.
And you know, it's interesting you should say about the fact that without technology, people were connecting on a much more real level. You know, this era is an era of connecting, but we're so disconnected, and you know, you're harking to a time of change. Now's a time of change, but time of change with technology, and this is a time of change without technology. And so you're actually educating people to actually be part of something greater. In your film, is there a nod to certain famous actors and actresses that are being personified in the film, or is it all fictional?
Yes, it's a really important question, because it's a pure drama. So most of the research I've done is really taken from the history, really, because I have a big passion for history. However, it really is a fiction, which means that I really envisioned the Golden Age as a tribute to any artist, and really anyone who struggles to bring change, because we do know some artists who bring change, and for instance, there is one band that indeed is mentioned very specifically in the film, the Beatles.
Of course.
Because of how they brought change, like when in Jacksonville in the 60s, they refused to perform in front of a segregated audience, and for the first time in Jacksonville in the US, it was performed in front of a normal audience, so that's wonderful. But there are also many artists who struggle and never make it, who struggle and try to bring change, but it's too hard. And so the film really is about anyone who tries, whether they succeed or not, because, success to bring change also calls for a lot of personal sacrifices. So the film is really a reflection around that. It's a film that encourages artists and anyone to bring change, at least to try. It also encourages solidarity. And I think it's something extremely important, solidarity and support between artists, because the only way to change is to really be supportive, because you can't change the world just by yourself. So it really is a whole reflection around that.
It's true, and actually, yes, bringing people together is actually key here. So you can't just be sitting behind your screen and assume that that's all it takes. You know, younger generations won't know what it was like to not have the smartphone.
Very true, yeah.
So you directed it, you produced the film, you're acting in it. Before I ask you about the character that you play, how did you set about getting the perfect cast, and what was it you were looking for from the people that you got on board your film?
So true, I do some casting too, and I'm an actress myself, so the casting is extremely important, because when you're directing a film, especially like about authenticity and about artists, you really need people who are very committed, who are very passionate. So I did a test, like a short film to test actors, and also what was really important was the rehearsing process, because we really rehearsed a lot, like every scene. There was also this big dancing scene that we rehearsed to make sure the dancing was right, and it was like after each rehearsal it was like one layer down. It was so important, because as a director-actress, it was also interesting to see how in the scene I can direct directly or just act in the scene differently. So it's really interesting, and it was really a film that's been very loved, and we wanted to really pay tribute to those characters, because those characters are universal. It could be anyone, it could be you, it could be me, changing the world, trying, struggling. And to us, what really mattered was that it was authentic, and that it really paid a real authentic tribute. So the fact that so far the film is doing so well is a big way to see that we did it well, and for us it means a lot, because for the audience I think it's something really important.
It sounds to me as though life is imitating art and art is imitating life. You're talking about these artistic people that are coming together, and they've all got their own struggles and they want to change the world. and yet your film itself is going to do that in a different way. So it's a mirror of a mirror. It's a reflection of itself.
So very true. So very true.
So your character, though, because if you directed the film and you produced it, when you chose a character that you were going to play, would you say that there's a lot of yourself in her, or is she completely different to you? Like, tell us a little bit about the girl you play.
Yes, because actually when I wrote the film, I wasn't thinking of acting that role. So, and I try when I write to really make sure to just pay tribute to the story. I try to leave the rest apart so I can really make sure it's a story that's consistent and that makes a lot of sense and really serves what it tells about. But I think, indeed, my character, Angèle Deveau, she's an actress, a theater actress who plays in front of empty seats in Paris.
Oh.
So it's like, and it's a very usual story, like there's so many actresses who struggle. So she lives in this 60s world. What is a little different from us today is that she lives in the 60s world where, as a woman, you're not necessarily... we don't necessarily wait for you to succeed. If you stay in the kitchen and you raise your children, it's great, you know. Like, and we don't necessarily wait for you to succeed. And she wants so much more than that. And this is where you see that she feels ill at ease, and it's only when she meets Sebastian she really realizes that through him. But there's something that's not right, because she doesn't understand it at the beginning, but she realizes that she wants more than that. That it's not okay not to succeed, even if people think it's okay. And so it's something really, I think, we even today can understand, because it's, as you mentioned, it's incredible how reality mirrors fiction. Because for this film I've directed, I'm the only producer for my company Belle Époque Film. When I wrote it I was 25. So it's like I'm not in the statistics. There are so many directors who are men, and only 3% of us, I think, are females. And so it's really important that there are more films directed than women, as we know in the industry. So it's true that maybe I think there's a lot more in her than I think. It's really interesting, even if it's only a mirror of reality. But what I think is really exciting about this character is that she really is like a model of commitment and of solidarity, because she really supports Sebastian, who's an American producer, and she really reflects him and engages him in going further. And I'm not going to spoil the film, but it's an important story about solidarity and commitment. And I think I feel very thankful I've played this character, because it's a really important tribute to many artists today. Because we're so happy to be at festivals. It's also important to remember that most of all this work is done in the dark, and there are so many people, artists, who struggle and who never even sometimes make their film happen. So it's an important way to pay tribute to all artists.
It seems to me something that's going to be inspiring for so many people that are going to watch it, not just if you're in an entertainment sphere, but anything you want to do in life. You know, it strikes me that if you have that motivation, that community around you, you can make stuff happen. You don't have to be sitting back. But it's interesting you saying that you see something of yourself in the character, and within that narrative of it being in the 1960s and a woman breaking through and the kind of mirroring of today, would you say there's aspects of the film that are actually indeed quite feminist, or is that just a side story, a side narrative to the...
I don't think it's the heart of the story, because the film really is about artistic commitment in general, and I would say it's also a lot more about support. Like, to me, especially in the film industry, there is no success that is worth living by yourself, but there is also no success that is possible just if you're alone. And so solidarity and support between every artist really is important. So I would say the film is about that, and Angèle could be a tribute also to men who are like who for whom solidarity is important. But I think though that even like I didn't write the movie in this way, but naturally the film will also be seen in this way, because also of the backstory and what happened behind the camera that I directed it. It's an important message, I think, about tolerance, so diversity for women, and to push any artist really to have a voice, to take it. Because in France, you probably know that in French there is this phrase that says la parole ça ne se donne pas, ça se prend. You don't give someone the right to speak, you take the right to speak, you step in and you speak. And I think the Golden Age is also an encouragement to that. And so I think this really concerns women and anyone really who struggles.
I just want to talk to you as well about the fact you set it in the 1960s. I mean, you must have had so much fun with the costumes and the makeup. I mean, it's such a fantastic era for fashion as well. So did you have someone particular on board that made that happen and brought something special to that aspect of the aesthetic of it all?
Yes. Our production coordinator worked on that with our many partners. And it, as you mentioned, it was such an excitement because it's part of a composition in terms of cinematography, so it's so wonderful for the audience to really relive this atmosphere. Because what really excited me was for the audience to be entertained by really just living or reliving the Saint-Tropez of the 60s. So that goes through costumes, wardrobe, hair and makeup, and also the 35 exceptional locations of the film. We filmed mostly in and around Saint-Tropez and Ramatuelle, but also Paris and a bit Los Angeles. So the film is
very international.
2 countries. Exactly, and the film is the very last drama fiction that's ever been filmed in and around Notre Dame Cathedral before it burned down. So it's become an important tribute, yeah.
Oh wow! No, I mean, my mother, she was French. She grew up in Paris, and seeing Notre Dame Cathedral like that was just absolutely harrowing. And to think that you've captured one of the last scenes of that standing, I mean, that's very, very special. I mean, you must feel quite emotional about that. I mean,
for sure. It was a tough moment.
Yeah.
It was a really tough moment. I was crying when I saw the events. At the same time, I think it's also a lesson to take that nothing is eternal, not even Notre Dame Cathedral, and that as artists, it's an important opportunity for us to pay tributes. It's an important opportunity for us to step in and really make those messages that are really precious to us protected.
It's interesting that seeing Notre Dame not be there anymore, and then with your film, there's a greater message there. Really is that
something
nothing
special. How could you imagine when we filmed? It was such a magical moment of its own. How can you imagine what would happen? And when I wrote The Golden Age, I wanted to do this because Saint-Tropez is changing. So I wanted to film the film before it changes too much.
How would you say it's changing? Is it becoming more like Hollywood, where things are not quite as hearty and authentic? Because you said earlier about capturing the little fishing village that it once was, and it's still got that essence, but they're fighting to keep that. So in what way do you think it's changing? You're saying it's changing fast.
Because of time. Because how can you imagine maybe a little sparkle will burn Notre Dame? It's changing also because it's such a beautiful, exceptional village. There are so many tourists who come every summer. It's invaluable. Like the locations where we film, they don't even have a price. I mean, you could buy them for so much money, maybe one day, but it's like, it's invaluable. And so many people go, and with time, and I think it's incredible what Tropesians do to protect this village, because it's thanks to them that I can still feel the authenticity there, and through the people, it's absolutely wonderful. So I'm very thankful for that.
Well, I absolutely can't wait to see this film. It sounds very much up my street. I love all I love the 60s. I love Saint-Tropez. It just sounds fantastic. And actually, what I wanted to ask you as well is, did you have a great soundtrack as well? Did you bring in a lot of the music from the 60s? And did you feature mainly French artists? I mean, you mentioned the Beatles earlier as well.
Yes.
How did you go about sourcing the perfect soundtrack? Because the music's great from the 60s.
Thank you so much for mentioning it, because as you say, you're absolutely right. Soundtrack, just recording the soundtrack was such an excitement, because it's an important part of the film. We even recorded it before filming. And I was so amazed, because when I researched to write The Golden Age, I was interviewing so many people, but also watching documentaries, and so I would be like, oh, this soundtrack, this title I love, and this title I love, and I think the licensors really understood what we were trying to make, really understood the story, and they were so helpful, and I managed to really license the very best of soundtrack that we recorded in a Parisian studio near Paris, and it was absolutely wonderful.
Oh wow, so you recorded new songs, or do you mean the score for the film, or both? Or did you?
Oh yes, actually all titles were licensed, and so I produced the music. with a band, you know, they just played the music, and it's an absolute excitement because you can't recreate Saint-Tropez in the 60s without the music.
Of course.
Because it's so important, even for the time, musicians and the artists from the music world did so much to really spread this feeling that people were not at ease. So for the movie, it's obviously something really important.
So you had a band record all these songs from the 60s?
Exactly.
Oh wow, so were they French songs or English songs or a bit of both? Or...
Jimmy Reed, Chuck Berry, so
okay.
A mix, some kind of American British vibe for sure. So a bit like the Beatles.
Ah,
you know, like a little
bit
of vibe of this, yes.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us today. It's been absolutely fascinating, and I really can't wait to watch it. And if you'd like to tell our viewers where they can see the film and when, then I'm sure they'll be racing ahead to go and watch it.
Thank you so much. I really hope you can attend. It will be wonderful to have you. So thank you so much, everyone, again for your support. Link to tickets to the opening of the London Independent Film Festival are actually out, so please join us. We will be attending. I will be also speaking on the Q&A after the film to answer all your questions. Please come and help us bring change. It will be wonderful to have you with us. It's on the 30th of March at the Genesis Cinema.
Perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. And remember, if you want to catch more stuff from the Fan Carpet, just head to Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and search for the Fan Carpet. I'm here on the largest of the Balearic Islands, Mallorca. With the turquoise waters of the Mediterranean Sea, beautiful mountainous landscape, the thriving city of Palma, quaint little market towns, a growing number of luxury hotels, it's no surprise that the likes of Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor like to holiday here. So come and join me as I take you round Mallorca.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom of your screen. And also be sure to subscribe to the Fan Carpet YouTube channels. They're absolutely free and so much fun too. Be sure to check out the official website, thefancarpet.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with reviews, competitions, the latest news, and so much more.